Morning guys, it's Craig here from Gifford Electrical. Been asked to do this video by quite a few people, so we'll get straight into it really. It's looking at the internal network of the house and basically going through the whole setup. So you've probably seen from my Instagram, basically this is the semi-finished. There's room for expansion basically. So we've got surge protection at the top, 6-bar with main switch there, but also obviously it's main controlled. Brush bar to hide the cable entries. Then we've got the patch panel, and I opted for a Keystone patch panel. Now these are actually all Cat 6A, so they will support, they are for Cat 6 as well. They don't work with Cat 5. They have to be Cat 6 or above, but they are specifically designed for Cat 6A. So basically we've run through, we've got lots of availability in all rooms. As I've said before, the kids' bedroom cabling's in place, it's in the flooring, ready to be installed as and when they get older, and basically we want to, if we want to put anything in, but being prepared is better than obviously not having anything there now and then having to do it all, trying to lift up carpets and stuff. We then have feeds into the lounge, 2 camera feeds, and then we've got video distribution feeds as well. Another brush bar, again, take the cables through. All the patch cables have been labelled. This one I need to amend because stupidly I didn't put it on right. So that one will get changed. So through the brush bar, back out under through this 3rd brush bar, and then into the switch. And again, they're all labelled, so if I was to rip one out, I know where it goes. Red for data, yellow for CCTV, blue, so this blue here for the Cat 6 video distribution, and then green is your BT incoming. So I've got all that information. Rich from Art Smart he's always posting it and stuff, and he's really helpful, always happy to give people a helping hand if they ask. So my switch itself is a unmanaged switch, so it doesn't require any intervention whatsoever. You literally plug in your input, it's a Gigabit switch, and then when you plug in your other devices, that then routes back, and so it's all dealt with by the modem. So we've got BT, and then that literally services obviously port 24 and then goes in here. Now we're not actually using past port 19. 20 to 22 will not ever actually, these will be used at some point, but they're never going to connect into the switch. So actually on the switch, ports 20 to 23 are obviously effectively free. So 23 goes to the Nas Drive, but that leaves spare ports. So obviously one of these will actually go to, so port say 22 will go to the NVR, 21 will go to the main HD Anywhere box when we get that. At the moment we don't have a need for it, but eventually we will get one. And then also looking at getting a control for EA1 at some point, so again that'll all link in there. So still space in here. As we expand, this will probably just rotate because all I'll need is a shelf, so that'll just go away. It doesn't require any maintenance on it whatsoever. The Nas Drive's got 2 4 terabyte network specific drives, so that, and the way it's set up is this particular unit is from Synology, and what they do is they do a particular version of RAID where you have your main drive. So instead of having 2 4 terabyte drives that become 8 terabytes, we've only got 4 terabytes. And effectively what it does is it mirrors one drive. So whenever a drive goes down, it immediately picks up the content off the second drive. And as we replace a drive, if we need to replace a drive, so these originally had 2 terabytes in, it's now got 4. I may upgrade to 6 or 8. But what you do is, if you replace only one drive, so say for instance I take out one drive, they just literally pull out. But if I take out one drive, so say for instance this one, it will only ever use the smallest drive first. So if I put an 8TB in, I don't immediately have 8TB of storage. I only have 4. I have to replace both to get the larger storage, because the second drive, whether it doesn't matter which one you use, it doesn't matter first or second, if I put an 8TB drive in, that drive always becomes the backup drive or the redundant drive in case of a failure, until you get another large drive. So if I got a second 8TB, it would then immediately start copying the content off the first 8TB drive and put it onto the second one, and then you are then back to that same situation of you'll now have 8TB, and you'll actually have one as a backup, so in the event that one fails. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to strip it down, come back, and I'll show you the back of the where it all comes in, and the actual back of the patch panel, and show you how that's wired up. So I'll see you in a little bit. Okay guys, so patch panel's off, and basically what we have here, cables have all routed through the floors and things like this. So we're actually underneath my stairs, and everything goes through the cavities and up into the floor space above, and we go from there. So cables come out, there's a bit of a service loop so we can get it out. In hindsight, I wish I'd put a little bit more cable on the loop, but it serves its purpose. It allows me to remove it and take it out. So every cable is connected to individual keystones. Okay, so I'll get out the actual original patch panel I was using, and I'll show you what that was like before. But this is a far better system in my mind than your conventional type of patch panel, because it allows for individual connection of the cable, in the sense of it's much tidier. So if I need to replace this keystone, I can just unplug it, put a new one on, and basically put it back in. All the cables are heat shrinked and labelled, so I know exactly where they're going. The only exception to that is these three, because I didn't actually have any of I only had 11.7mm and Cat 6A. You need I think it's 17.7mm heat shrink, so they're not heat shrinked. But I did ensure that I labelled up the patch panel beforehand. So they're very, very straightforward bits. These actually, I got these from Amazon. I think they were what, 24 for £50. So they're not cheap. Keystones are not a cheap alternative to your standard patch panel. They are more expensive, but they are far more convenient. And as you can see, it's a much tidier finish. So following the Art of Smart Rainbow Spaghetti model, red is for data, yellow is for CCTV, and blue is for your video distribution. So these ones are in situ, ready for when you know, I go for a HD Anywhere setup. Doesn't need it right now, but we will probably get one in the future, as and when, if we ever expand. And yeah, that just screws in basically, and then obviously, as you saw before, all the patch leads are labelled accordingly. It does seem a bit overkill having all of these, you know, we've got a 2-bed house, and I've got 8 circuits in the master bedroom, 8 circuits in the kids' bedroom, 3 in the living room. It's overkill, but they're spares and redundant. So if we ever change the kids' ones, obviously we're not interested in at the moment because there's nothing in the kids' room, the cable's just laid there. But for like the master bedroom, if we ever change the room around, I've now got the option to, you know, put the TV on at another point. I prefer hardwired connections wherever possible, as opposed to just doing Wi-Fi. I'm not a fan of Wi-Fi. I think it's flawed. There's interference from other networks, so a hardwired connection is always the best connection in my mind. So we've got 8 in the bedroom, so effectively wherever there's a double socket, there are two data points. So it gives flexibility, and it means that if you want a hardwired connection for data transfer between devices, then you can do that. Obviously it is a true gigabit network, and providing the clients, or my stuff, I'm the client in this case, providing everything's gigabit Ethernet, I can get quick transfers between the Nas Drive and between the 2 machines and things like that. So that's pretty much it. There isn't really much else to go through. This is a 19U cabinet, so standard size cabinet. It does have a door on, I just haven't put it on. But yeah, you literally, once you've got your keystones in, you just plug your leads in accordingly to where you want them. So obviously we've got one data feed to the lounge, so that goes to the back of the TV, and you can't see it, but there is a little unit behind the TV, a sync box. It's literally nestled right in the back. I don't think you'll be able to see it at all. It literally sits inside the bracket, so it's hidden away, and then it has a little cover that shuts over it. So yeah, it's you know, it's a bit overkill for a 2-bed house, but I'm not a fan of, like I said, Wi-Fi stuff. What I'll do, this is obviously our dumping ground at the moment. It's we're still in the process of moving stuff in and out, but yeah, only been in since March. So, well, end of Feb. So yeah, still sifting through bits, but I'll whip out the standard patch panel. So I've got an old Cat 6 patch panel from the old house that I used. I'll get that out and I'll show you the difference between it, the Keystone. Effectively, you've seen the Keystone and how that effectively works, and I'll show you the difference, and you'll see what I mean, why it's a much nicer fit if you use the Keystones. Right guys, apologies, I have probably thrown away the old patch panel, as I didn't need it anymore, stupidly, so I can't show you it, but I will find an image and just show you what the back of them look like, so you can kind of then get an idea of when you add all the cables. And if you've got a 24 port patch panel on these old systems, it gets filled up quite quickly. So I'll see if I can find an image and I'll stick that on there as well. And that's it for me, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please remember to like and subscribe. Well, you've said it. You're in the video. Say hi. Hi. You've gone all shy. Right, guys, that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you again soon. Bye for now.